Good evening, everybody. This is Casper from the Tropical Weather Threat Society bringing you our nightly update and the drama that has unfolded in the Atlantic Basin since our last live. Hurricane Erin is now a Category 5. I'm sure that everybody's seen it. It has been um, all over social media and the news and everything because it underwent a bout of explosive intensification through the overnight hours and into the early morning hours this morning. That was crazy, and I'm going to show you guys a couple things that were tracking that, and the rate of intensification to me was similar to what we seen with Otis here in the Eastern Pacific a couple years ago. So yeah, it was bad, and thankfully this thing is going to remain offshore. There has been a little bit of adjustment in the models, obviously, because it had, trying to maintain balance of the overall system itself with all the banded convection there on the southern side. It helped to kind of drift things a little bit further to the south and to the west, and more of a, and it just lost a little bit of its latitude, but still remains well offshore from the islands down there and no direct impact. Before I get all into all this, I do want to mention that we've got a 10% chance of tropical cyclone development out here. I'm going to get into this. This is one of the critical players and key players to turn Erin. So it kind of all plays into the forecast, but there is a 10% chance there of further tropical cyclone development that is not Erin. So, as we could see with the most recent satellite imagery, I believe I may need to refresh this because they should be getting sundown right about now. So, as we could see with Erin, is just now getting right on the 20-degree north latitude line. So, that is at least keeping the islands away from direct impacts, but there has been some pretty considerable indirect impacts. So let me flip over here to Radar Omega here real quick. And if you will note, we've got Puerto Rico here, and we have Erin and the eye of Erin right here off of the Puerto Rico radar. It has been being able to be seen for quite some time, well outside its range because of the fact that it is so high up into the atmosphere. The big thing that we've been having going on today is a flash flood warning for the U.S. Virgin Islands and St. Thomas and St. John there in the Virgin Islands. There is considerable flash flooding, and it has been going on for quite some time now. As you could see, and there's another rain band coming in. So these folks here have been getting a lot of heavy rain today, even though Erin's core is out here. Not getting a lot of, strong winds, just a ton of rain. Now, I do want to show everybody, I'm going to have to zoom in real close here because I was doing this earlier. There is the eye itself, 5.7 miles wide. And if I take another chunk of it from north to south, 6.23. And now you all figure these are just pixels, and we know that it is a symmetrical eye. So the eye itself is only 6 miles wide, we'll say. We'll average it through. So it's very, very small, very tiny, a very, very pinhole eye on this, so to say. Now, if I zoom out a little bit, one thing that I always like to do when it comes to the tropical cyclones and here on Radar Omega is we can turn this into a 3D image and flip this on its side. Now, what we're looking at here is the reflectivity. The higher colors, or the red colors, That denotes heavier rainfall returns to the radar. So if we push play on this, you could see how some of these stronger storms have been over here to the east and kind of concentrated over the last 6 hours. And that's why we have flash flood warnings issued for the U.S. Virgin Islands. Everybody over here in this region, I'll get that little crayon out. Everybody over here in kind of this region right here, and you think about it, you're looking at it from a 3D image, so a lot of the reflectivity looks like it's actually north of that and away from the circle, but you got to look at the base of where all this stuff is and the reflectivity. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to bring that to a stop. We're going to flip this back up on its top, and then we're going to jump over here to our echo tops. Now, what this represents is the height of the clouds. And one thing that we can do is flip this on its side as well. And as you could see, the eye wall out here with its, taller clouds. But then there's a few of these storms that are associated with this rain band that are very, very intense. And they stand out quite a bit when we look at the echo tops here and then flip it on its side, because you can't miss them. And it's very, very tall storms and a very intense set of storms. And if we go, like this tallest one right here is currently 58,000 feet. So, and for folks that may want to know the eye wall, 50,000 feet, in that range. It's not super, super tall, but they're tall enough, and they're certainly impactful enough to result in a Category 5 hurricane here this evening. Okay, let's get back off of Earth or Radar Omega here, and we'll go back to the browser. I want to make sure that my microphone doesn't do anything screwy, so give me just a moment here to ensure. Okay, all right. Now, let's get into the forecast track. Now, unfortunately, with the western motion, we have had watches issued for the Turks and Caicos. This is kind of what I was hoping wouldn't happen, but that westward drift in losing a little bit of its latitude today and kind of changing the angle of approach has now gotten it just a little bit too close. And tropical storm watches are in effect. As you can see, though, we don't have any blue tropical storm warnings, which is, we should, honestly, especially with what we've got going on there in the Virgin Islands right now. So I'm gonna flip these up just a second here, because I want to do the key messages here next. So currently, the particulars on Hurricane Erin, we're at 20.0 north, 64.0 west, about 135 miles north-northwest of Anguilla, and 175 miles northeast of San Juan, Puerto Rico. Maximum sustained winds, again, 160 miles an hour. Moving west or 280 degrees at 15 miles an hour, with a minimum central pressure of 915 millibars or 27.02 inches of mercury on your barometers. Changes with this advisory: the Bahamas has issued a tropical storm watch for the Turks and Caicos Island. So we still have tropical storm watches in effect for St. Martin, St. Barthélemy, and Saint Martin. So there's still, unfortunately, we've got it still going up the line. And now that the Turks and Caicos are included in the watches, it seems likely that we should see at least intermediate advisories for the next, well, throughout the weekend at least. That's for certain. So we should get every 3 hour updates. And the tropical storm watch means in the Leeward Islands are the next 48 hours for the Turks and Caicos Islands. So again, we're going to be dealing with intermediate advisories for at least the next 2 days, and then the next 12 hours for the Leeward Islands is what they're calling for, being that they are now starting to experience the southeastern quadrant wind field and not the southwestern quadrant. And the southeastern quadrant extends out a little bit further. So, our hazards affecting land. This is the most key message that is included within the public advisory. Rainfall, outer rain bands of Erin will continue to produce areas of heavy rainfall through Sunday across the northern Leeward Islands, the Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. Rainfall totals of 2 to 4 inches with isolated totals of 6 inches are expected. Locally, considerable flash and urban flooding along with landslides or mudslides are possible. Guys, give me just a second here. I've flipped this back over. I'm looking here because I want to see what we have for rainfall. So yes, I just jumped over to Radar Omega real quick. We're looking at right now 4.16 inches is the highest that I see on the storm related totals. So right now it's verifying. Wind, tropical storm conditions are possible within the watch area. That seems why we have a tropical storm watch at that point. We could see possible tropical storm winds. And then the surf, the rip currents, folks, it's not going to be a joke. It's really, really not going to be a joke. This, I cannot stress this enough, how much this is going to change along the east coast of the United States as this begins to pull northward. It's going to be insane. We're going to have high risk. I would not be surprised if it's red for multiple states up the entire east coast at one point in time as we continue to track Erin off to the north and to eventually the northeast. So our key messages here this evening, we have 4. Let me erase that. That was from yesterday. Heavy rainfall at times through Sunday across the northern Leeward Islands, the Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico may lead to locally considerable flash and urban flooding along with landslides or mudslides. Number 2, tropical storm conditions are possible in the Turks and Caicos Islands during the next 48 hours, where a tropical storm watch is now in effect. Gusts to tropical storm force in Erin's outer rain bands are likely in portion of the northern Leeward Islands through tonight and over portions of the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico through Sunday. Tropical storm force wind gusts are possible in the southeast Bahamas beginning on Sunday. Number 3, Erin is expected to produce life-threatening surf and rip currents along the beaches of the Bahamas, much of the east coast of the U.S. and Atlantic Canada next week. Interest in Bermuda should continue to monitor the progress of Erin since there is a risk of strong winds, heavy rainfall, and high surf by the middle part of next week. If we take a look at our earliest reasonable arrival time of winds, we will note that the Turks and Caicos, it would be recommended that you have your preparations done by tomorrow afternoon. The most likely arrival time of those tropical storm force winds will be overnight on Sunday, but if you can get yourself a little bit of extra time, because these rain bands stick far out from the storm itself, and although those do pass by rather quickly, if it kind of sets up as the storm is turning north and that rain band stops progressing further and further to the west because the storm is starting to take a further turn to the north, I would not be surprised if we get some kind of flooding associated with something similar to what we're seeing with the Virgin Islands today, except maybe a little bit more intense into the Turks and Caicos and potentially the southeastern Bahamas as this starts to make its turn. If it gets a little bit too close, that rain band will set up, and as it turns, that rain band's not going to continue to move much further at all. It's going to kind of follow the storm, and it's going to kind of roll in, and you'll have to wait for the storm to take it back out. So I hope that scenario doesn't materialize, but it is a possibility there. And also, we didn't get much for the Dominican Republic as well. Could be some random shower and thunderstorm activity associated with, maybe similar to what we're seeing there with Puerto Rico. Okay, our tropical storm force wind speed probabilities. These have gone up for our folks here in the Turks and Caicos. This is why the watch has been issued. If you note that it's very difficult to see, but they're right in kind of the 30% range here in the very northern part of the Leeward Islands and the British and Virgin Islands there. Bermuda is still sitting at about a 30 to 40%. The one that ended up kind of benefiting the most from that extra western and southern jog today is Bermuda. Their percentages actually came down with the 5 p.m. advisory. So it's beneficial potentially for them. And if we can get it, again, it's still running pretty close to 70. So, and as you can see here with the outer banks of North Carolina, you're at a 5 to 10% chance of seeing these tropical storm force winds. And maybe 5 to 10% chance here for the Cape Martha's Vineyard or Cape Cod up here, Massachusetts and stuff like that. And right now, just the extreme southern tip of Nova Scotia. But this, this will continue to evolve as we get more and more updates going forward. Right now, we're looking at kind of the short term and just making sure that this thing is going to make its turn. Granted, we did see a little bit of a drift south and to the west today, but as you could see, as far as the forecast track is concerned, it really didn't cause too much adjustment needed by the models. So taking a quick look here before we get into the discussion in the models and all of the data, we've got the National Weather Service Office, Puerto Rico here. And as you could see, they're calling for widespread 3 to 4 inches across many of their locations, with 2 to 3 inches here in the northwestern corner. And if we look, they're basically just stay out of the water. Mariners, stay in port, don't get out there into the open waters. Coastal impacts, high surf and rip current advisory here all along the Atlantic facing beaches for associated with Erin and its passage. The flood watch, there is a flood watch for the entire area, the entire island of Puerto Rico, plus all of the Virgin Islands as well. And then they have what to expect. So with gusts up to 30 to 40 miles an hour, and though it is maybe a little bit closer than what they wanted. And then here is the National Weather Service Office radar itself, though we use Radar Omega for a little bit more reflectivity refinement there, to where it's not where we could really zoom in and get up close and personal. And they do have snow squall. I don't think that's going to be a thing that you're going to need for Puerto Rico here. I'm sorry about that. So, taking a quick look at our discussion. Here we go. We're just going to read this whole thing tonight because it's been a crazy day with the intensity. Erin's rapid intensification may have bottomed out near 16Z based on the last couple of passes of data from Air Force Reserve Hurricane Hunter. At that time, the maximum winds were near 140 knots and the central pressure was near 915 millibars. Both Air Force and NOAA aircraft reported concentric eye walls forming, and during the last couple of hours, the small eye seen in conventional satellite imagery is becoming cloud-filled. This suggests an eye wall replacement cycle may be starting. The initial intensity is held at 140 knots, pending the upcoming arrival of a NOAA Hurricane Hunter, and that's the next frame. The eye has started to gain latitude during the past few hours, and the initial motion is now 280 degrees at 13 knots, a little slower than before. The track guidance still suggests that Erin will turn back to the west-northwest with a decrease in forward speed during the next 6 to 12 hours on the south side of a subtropical ridge. This motion should then continue through 24 to 36 hours. After 36 hours, the western side of the ridge is still expected to weaken due to a series of shortwave troughs moving through the mid-latitude westerlies, and that should cause Erin to slow further and make a gradual turn to the north. However, there remains a significant spread in the guidance in just when this turn will occur, and the spread has increased due to the 12Z ECMWF or Euro forecast shifting to the west. Overall, the guidance envelope has shifted to the left during the entire forecast track, and the new forecast track is also shifted to the west. The new track is still to the east of the consensus models during the northward motion, and additional track adjustments may be necessary in later forecasts. Fluctuations in intensity are expected during the next 24 hours due to possible eyewall replacement cycles. However, Erin should remain a strong hurricane during this time. Between 24 and 72 hours, increasing northwesterly shears should cause a gradual weakening, although there are likely to be fluctuations superimposed on this. After 72 hours, the storm should start to encounter the mid-latitude westerlies, where the shear will increase further. The new intensity forecast will show an increased weakening rate, but will keep Erin as a major hurricane, as it will still be over warm sea surface temperatures during that time. Although Erin is a somewhat compact hurricane now, the models are in strong agreement that the system will grow in size over the next several days. In fact, by the middle of next week, Erin is forecast to at least double or triple in size, which will result in rough ocean conditions over the western Atlantic. Now, let's go back and take a look at the satellite again. Actually, we'll take the large view. Double and triple in size. Keep this in mind. When this gets up here, this thing is going to blow up. It is going to expand. I wouldn't be surprised if it's at least that big, or if not bigger. Now, the clouds. So we know that this one's gonna be one for the history books, folks. I promise. Hopefully, it doesn't make any kind of significant impact to Bermuda. That's really my only big question. So we've got a NOAA mission, number 11. It is in the storm. Let's continue. We'll discuss the models and come back to this, because it is approaching from the northeastern quadrant and going to go through that northeastern eye wall. So we'll definitely be live till we get this first update coming into the maximum wind band. Taking a look at the models. Now, as we can see, we've had a little bit of model spread with the 18Z compared to what we saw with the 12Z from this morning's runs. A little bit of a spread. But notice, all of them are, there's nothing to the United States, maybe some fringe impacts, a squall line, a thunderstorm, maybe one or two. But as we could see, not a direct impact. And right now, everybody's in pretty good agreement that we should at least keep it out and away. Hopefully, the HCCA isn't going to verify, even though that is a consensus model, to where we end up with it getting a little bit too close to Newfoundland. I mean, we want to get this thing out away from everybody. We don't want this to touch anybody. And one thing that I do have to point out here, just in case anybody looks, this right here, the NavGem is calling for a peak intensity of 202 knots. Now, let me be very clear, folks. That's impossible. All right, it's not going to happen. All right, if we take a look, and I will show you guys right here, I will hit the refresh on this just to make sure that we've got the absolute latest data. So this column right here is our rapid intensification forecast. Obviously, we are not going to get rapid intensification. Why? Because if you look at this right here, this says date August 16, 2025, time 1800 UTC, which is the equivalent of 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The current vorticity maximum of the storm is 140 knots or 160 miles an hour. The current maximum potential intensity for the area in which Erin is located is 146 knots. It's not going any higher, folks. It's going to end up with an eye wall replacement cycle, which, as you can see, probability of onset 97%. We're going to get a eye wall replacement cycle. There's no question about it. Now, the one thing that I wanted to show you guys here tonight, I'm going to click on this, and I wish I could stop it. I'm going to let it run more than once. But I want you to keep a very close watch on that box right there. Watch how quickly those numbers jump. That, I have not seen a rate of intensification like that since Otis. That's insane. I mean, like, that thing hit the lottery and just, hit 777s on the slot machine, and it just ding, 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 and you just started running up the numbers. And that was, it was quite scary this morning. I'm not going to lie to you, because when they start to do things like that, it just reminds you of the pure wrath that Mother Nature can cause if that were to make contact with land. Oh, it's going to be like an absolute buzzsaw. I mean, this would basically be like a Hurricane Michael. It's very close. Michael was 160 and 919, I believe. This is 160 and 915. So we're not off by much. And just to kind of give people a comparison of what we're looking at. And if you want to talk about the pace of intensification, look at this. This went straight up, practically. And that was, I mean, big time problems if that would have made landfall. And again, our rapid intensification models, as you could see, the logistic regression here just hasn't updated. There's no room to increase it by 30 knots if the maximum potential intensity is only 6 knots higher than what the intensity is right now. So it's got to move. There should be no more strengthening other than maybe 5 miles an hour. If it does, but it does seem like it's leveled off and will have to go through an eye wall replacement cycle to get back up there. I wouldn't be surprised if the winds have come down just a little bit and we may be back down to Cat 4 if there is an eye wall replacement cycle imminent. So, looking at our official forecast track. Now, this is, you could see from the National Hurricane Center, slight adjustments to the west. Again, 75 west is where we have land with the United States. This is just a hair over 70. This isn't bad, folks. The official intensity, obviously, we're looking at a Cat 5, so we're not necessarily looking for intensity right now. What we're going through is just the overall trends. As we can see with the GFS, the 12Z GFS adjusted just a little bit to the left, but the Euro jumped way to the left. All right, now that's still, even the Euro jumping that far to the left, let's see. That should have fixed it. Let me, I'm going to wait for anybody. Yeah, yeah, I am. That should have fixed it. Somebody let me know if that did. I got to get Kylie out here to fix this for me. All right, beautiful. Okay. Sorry about that, Christy. All right. Uh, I got to get Kylie out here to try to fix what's up with that. I'm going to go ahead and close out a Radar Omega because that's a lot of times that I have problems when I start to use Radar Omega, even though it's been doing it without Radar Omega lately. So I don't know exactly what the issue is. But just to kind of recap, not knowing, kind of going back and looking at how long this did. Really, what we're looking at is everything is coming up to about the 32-degree mark and then starting its eastward motion. So it is opening back up the angle. If you were to think, if it were to go like this compared to that, look at the distance between here and then look at the distance between there. So we're still looking good for the Carolinas and the East Coast. There may be some fringe impacts, but hey, fringe impacts are nothing compared to direct impacts. And everything has been kind of drifting a little bit more and more to the west. Although, again, all of the models are in agreement that we get that at about 32 degrees north, and then we start getting an easterly component re-establishing more distance, more and more from the eastern North Carolina, which is just off the screen right here at 35 degrees north. All right. Taking a quick look at our consensus, the HCCA, as you could see, has been shifting more and more to the left and getting up a little bit too close to Newfoundland. That's the uncomfortable zone for me right there, because this would be too close, and these two systems are going to merge with the big upper level low over eastern Canada, and then Hurricane Erin at that point. Those two are going to become one over the northern Atlantic, and that could cause a massive storm. And we're going to have to wait and see if that changes. The TVCN consensus also has shifted to the left and a little bit further to the north on this northerly track here, but is still further away from Newfoundland. There'd still been some impacts, but not like what this would. Not that would bring some serious issues. To that right there. That'd be big time issues. No question about it. Because this would be transitioning into a extratropical if it hadn't already. But that would put a lot of the weather on the northern side as it's phasing with the upper level low. Are you serious? We're doing it again? What is going on? Are you serious? Somebody give me... Somebody's going to have to let me know whether... are y'all able to hear me? Are we having audio issues again? Because I'm looking at Streamlabs. I don't see anything. I didn't do anything. I don't know what I fixed. I just clicked over to the Streamlabs to take a look at the audio input, and the sad part is, Sammy, this is like an actual, like a professional mic. And I'm going to have to get Kylie out here to fix this. Lindsay, send her a text if you would, please, to let her know that we're still dealing with these audio issues and that we are going to have to and we're gonna have to get her out here to try to fix this because this isn't working. All right, I'm going to try to be quick then. Taking a look at the Euro ensembles, um, as we could see, Erin is forecast to turn out. There is a little bit of a signal for the secondary wave behind it on the Euro ensembles, but a lot of that signal has now, and it's been, way out there into the long range, so it's all been iffy and changing from run to run. But it looks like that wave may try to follow Erin because Erin didn't get out of the way quickly enough. So that may work out for us. The Euro AI, as you could see here, I seen that. Yeah, Casper must be playing with the sound system. Um, the real ghost. So if we look here, we've got a little bit of a spot here that wants to draw up and out, but we're missing what we had here yesterday. So we don't see the development here. A lot of this, as you could see, looks like progression and propagation ends up going this way. And this is from the AI model for the Euro. And that's what we've been watching over the last few days that has had that signal. So it'll be interesting to see if it pops back or not. Looking at the GEFS now, the GEFS is a little different. Does show potentially that wave down here getting like this, but then if you notice, there are a lot of signals that want to take it that way, and just one or two that get it out this way. So as long as we keep it out of the Gulf, we should be okay. As long as we can get things to kind of just, go this way, go that way, and leave our friends right here in Bermuda alone, if you would please. And then another signal of that mid-latitude trough, or that little 1010 potentially, developing a cyclone. Doesn't necessarily have to be tropical in nature, or we've already got one there, I believe. And that's going to lift up and out, and that's what's also helping to usher Erin to the north. All right, let's get into the Google. Oh, we hit the 15-day, so we might as well explain it because I know it flashed. If you take a look, that's not a lot to get a signal on because we're in practical la la land here, and we're in complete fantasy land out there. That's going to change. It's going to change with every single run. So please don't worry about that. It has not. It has certainly not been very accurate in the long range. So now what we have here is the 12Z Google DeepMind. Keep in mind, this would have been 8 o'clock in the morning. Erin did not receive Category 5 upgrade until the special update that was issued from the National Hurricane Center at 11:20 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. This was 3 hours and 20 minutes prior to it being classified as a Category 5. But in all realistic terms, I'm not really looking at this for Erin. I'm running this forward because we know where Erin is. We've got all of our hurricane-specific models and everything else. But if we can, if folks who have watched some of the previous lives, if you remember, when we got to about day 6, day 7, day 8, we had a lot of signal in the Caribbean. Well, take a look now. We don't have that signal in the Caribbean. We've got it, a lot of it, into potentially the Atlantic at that point. And now we're getting out into La La Land. So 15 days is basically a guarantee. Facebook pages said so. Oh boy, Sammy, I've had a couple Lulus today when it comes to Facebook stuff. Whew. Had a lady tell me that the storm here with Erin was being geoengineered and was being weather modified because people hear buzzwords and they don't necessarily want to pick up a book or read or anything. They just want to trust the word of somebody else that has no idea what the hell they're talking about either. And the next thing you know, she tries to tell me that this was because they did Operation Popeye back in the 60s, and that it is going to, that's what has intensified the storm, is some of that weather modification. Well, the lady obviously didn't realize that was trying to also weaken a storm. And the results, there's a reason why we don't do it today when it comes to hurricanes, because you can't produce enough energy to slow it down. I mean, it's just too much. You figure, what are you going to do? You got a 6 mile wide plug of ice that you can drop into the center of circulation right now, and then if so, how are you going to get it there? I mean, people just hear things and just go on about tangents, and oh, that was an interesting conversation this morning. I kindly requested her to have a Snickers and to sit down and actually read the operational paperwork from Operation Popeye, so she didn't humiliate or embarrass herself in public forums going forward. But is she going to listen? Absolutely not. So looking at Earthnol here, we're coming up to the 850, 700 millibar, 500 millibar level. And if you notice at the lower levels, 700, yeah, this thing would have probably already made its turn. The 500 millibar level, we're still kind of waiting on this ridge. As you can see here, we still got a little bit of that ridge kind of nosing out here. And this is going to continue to slide this way. But then this is going to go away, and that's going to go almost due north. Now, the 500 millibar level, and you may ask, well, why is that? As you can see, we already have one cyclone here moving off that way. We have another shortwave trough of energy. This is the one that has the 1010 on it. This is forecast to move this way. And potentially another little shortwave of energy that is going to ride this troughing feature right here. And this is going to erode what little bit of that ridge remains to allow Erin to pull up and to pull out. So what we're going to do, this is on the GFS, we're going to run this forward. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. As you can remember from the National Hurricane Center, they would expect it to start making that turn in approximately 36 hours. Well, we've gone forward, let's see, 24, 30. We've gone forward 38 hours. And as you could see, we got a high right here. We got a pretty good wind flow right here, the ridge coming this way. You've got the weakness right there. And guess where the storm's going to go? It has to go through this channel. It's not going to go this way. That is no. It's not going to happen. And there's a big reason why that's not going to happen. There's still a high pressure ridge over the United States at the lower levels. It's going to want to avoid that. It's going to want to shoot. And the 700 millibar level almost shows it pretty much really, really well. Coming up and going right through that area right there. That shows it awfully well. You've got that lane right there. And just to double check on that, I'm going to put a click down on it. And 73 degrees west and 30 degrees. So the GFS, well, we'll just run it forward and you'll see how it materializes. And this is at the 700, but the main steering flow is here at the 500 because it's so strong. And as you can see, GFS is not calling for it to get anywhere near the United States, but look how big and wide this thing gets. It's huge. It is a massive system. No? All right, I'm just checking chat there. All right, our dust model. As you can see, we do have dust, a little bit of dust in and around where Erin is. Another large plume. That wave looks to be encapsulated in dust. Then another wave potentially coming off. But also keep in mind, we're also getting into peak hurricane season. We're going to get waves. That's what peak hurricane season is. Taking a quick look at the high pressure ridges, as we could see, the Euro and the Euro AI still want to kind of trap it a little bit, and it's not getting like significantly impactful to the United States, but it's wanting to maybe have that ridge just a little bit stronger, the low pressure up there, up to the north, maybe a little bit weaker up here. But the GFS, as far as its solution is concerned, doesn't care, just cuts the corner, goes around, and then explodes into a massive northern type system. And to show you exactly how that explosion takes place, and as you could also see, that the Euro, it did come out with what it came out with, but the 12Z initialized, oh, I covered it up, initialized with a 989 millibar low pressure. At 8 o'clock this morning, not even close. Not even remotely close. So as I continue to run this forward, you will see that the pressures and everything, we need the models to kind of rerun. And they're running now. We'll get the 18Zs here shortly when it's finally got the true low pressure of the system itself. I believe that that is going to cause the Euro and the 0Z potentially to flip back to the east a little bit. I wonder. Let's take a look at the 18Z. Yeah, there's the 18Z European ensembles, and as you can see, we don't have anything getting remotely close to the Outer Banks of North Carolina there. Wait a minute, this is the 16th. What are we doing, guys? Today is the 16th. I'm losing my mind. It's okay, folks. This is the 6Z though. This isn't the 18Z. So that's earlier. That's real early this morning. So that's not the one we're looking for. Okay. So let's continue to run our wind shear model, and as you can see, it is expected to just blow up and become a massive North Atlantic system with a great amount of wind and wind shear associated with it. Yes, Terry. The dirty side is the front right quadrant. That is the dirty side, which is, in this particular case, the northeastern quadrant. Yes, James is correct. And our nightly MJO update, as you could see, still progressing along. Phase 2, getting ready to cross into Phase 3. I've moved our other graphics so this way it doesn't become so repetitive. And though this one we're still keeping in line because we're somewhere in this region here going forward. Still got a lot of season to go, folks. That just means that, yes, these waves that are coming off of Africa, we have to watch every single one of them. And the database is there if you guys wanted to look at any of the, like the British Virgin Islands, as you could see here. Department of Disaster Management for the U.S. British Islands. And they've got tropical updates 7 hours ago, 10 hours ago, 3 hours ago with the flash flood watch in effect for the Virgin Islands. So I don't know how much up to date they keep on this. I know that this is where you could definitely get your information, though. Certainly. We've certainly done research on that. So yeah, I mean they're here, and some of the areas I am going to get Kylie to potentially sit down to where we can get the little tiny islands, although they're all going to link to the same spot, but we'll at least get the tab for the tiny island. So this way it'll link over like Saint Martin, those smaller items or islands. So this way folks can get information regarding those as well. I've noticed that some of the smaller islands are not included, but and at that point, do you know which islands are which? And yeah, it becomes Atlantic geography at that point. All right, jumping out into the other basins: Eastern Pacific, Central Pacific, clear. As you can see here, Eastern Pacific, Central Pacific, nothing. And nothing out in the Western Pacific or the Indian Ocean as well. So again, Hurricane Erin is the only player in town. And of course, she had to go Category 5. So if you guys have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Right now, we really need to wait on the models to kind of update with the overall explosive intensification that has taken place today. And when we do get those, it will be. I do believe that we're going to see the euro kind of tick back a little bit more to the east due to the fact that it's going to be stronger at initiation than what the previous euro was calling for. And being that it was 989 millibars and not at 8 o'clock this morning, it was probably 940 something at that point at 8 a.m. I know the special update came out a little after 5 this morning, and the Category 5 special update came out at 11:20. I was running the morning shift this morning. I've been up stalking this thing since before 5 o'clock this morning. Just watching, looking over the models and being amazed at what was going on. And then when the special update came out, I went into immediate action, getting things up on the page and everything, and getting that information communicated out, because at that point she turned into a Category 4 at that first update this morning. She went to 130, and then it was like less than 6 hours later she was 160. So she not messing around tonight. Okay, you're very welcome, Terry. You're very, very welcome. I'm glad I could be of help. Again, we're going to be here every night until Halloween, regardless what's going on in the basin on a nightly basis. So we got you this year. I'm not gonna mess around with the development percentages and be like, oh hey, look, like it's at 30%. Are we gonna go live? Are we not? Nah, the hell with that. We're just gonna go live. So this way, it just makes it easier on everybody else, knowing that we are going to be here throughout all of peak season and secondary peak season. So, all right, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and shut it down here for tonight. We will be live tomorrow evening, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central, here on Facebook and YouTube as well. If you guys don't want to, watch us on Facebook and you want to jump over there and subscribe to us there over on YouTube, there's very few people, and we just don't advertise for it. But it's there for the folks that need it. And that's why we have it. So this way it gives you the abilities to still, use your phone or, broadcast it to a television so you could see the graphics a lot better and stuff like that. So we've gotten good reviews as far as including YouTube for this season. So, all right, everybody, in Italy, because my sister is a California girl and clueless. Okay. Well, I hope you really enjoy your time in Italy. I really appreciate you even joining us, period, while you're in Italy. Okay, so you're not there yet. All right. Okay. I've got a little misunderstanding there. September, yeah. Really all depends. Really all depends on if we still continue to keep this East Coast troughing, it's going to be very difficult to drive something into the Gulf from the main development region. It's not going to be easy because things are going to want to pull northward. If it gets developed, it'd have to be a greatly delayed develop and a well timed system to avoid being pulled up like this. You'd have to come through the main development region like this, stay weak to stay south, get through, get to about south of Haiti here, south of Jamaica, which is right here, and then boom. Then you develop and start to make that pull. So we got a refresh, so it caused everything to glitch out. So we will, like we're just gonna keep watching it, keep monitoring it, keep our eyes on everything. We still have a little bit of a dust enhancement. You could really see it as the sun is going down. It really highlights those brown colors right in. If you look right as the sun is going down, right in that area right there, you could really see that Saharan air. It's like half the damn desert's lofted up into the air out there. It's pretty decent plume, and you can even see a little bit of that dust wrapping around and to the north of Erin also. That's what was keeping it in check yesterday, and then well, obviously that didn't hold out true. All right. Yeah. No, the Bay of Campeche is not. It's not anything that we want to see. No, closed, closed for right now. Though we do have a little bit of what looks to be a troughing feature, like right here. So nothing. By the way, nothing. It's just trough. It's rain. Summertime showers. All right, everybody. Again, we'll talk to you tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central, and we'll have the latest. And hopefully, we're not dealing with a Category 5 at that point, and we're still watches, no warnings. So stay safe, everybody. Stay informed. Check back with the National Hurricane Center and your local National Weather Service office for local updates and updates on Erin. Talk to you tomorrow night. Good night.